Good morning, everyone, and welcome to you all. My name is Deborah Notariani-Gerard, and I'm chair of the Foreign Language Department and coordinator of study abroad programs here at CCRI. However, today I come to you as co-chair of the Professional Development Day, along with Michelle O'Brien, Associate Director of Human Resources, and I want to say welcome. It has truly been a pleasure over the last 8 years to co-chair this event with Michelle. As always, we have had a very hard-working collegial committee that have helped us to plan today's workshops. We have recognized all of these individuals as their names are on the back page of today's program. There are countless other individuals from almost every department who have contributed to today's events as either part of the planning committee or doing behind-the-scenes work. Special recognition also has been given to them on the last page of today's program. We would like to thank President Megan Hughes for her support in such an important endeavor as Professional Development Day. As you know, one of the primary highlights of this day is the networking among colleagues from all constituencies of the college. It is a day for all 4 campuses of individuals, and of course we have satellites, to come together, attend workshops of your choice with a personal, professional, and academic focus. It is also an opportunity for many of you to share your expertise as presenters. This year, you have a choice of over 46 workshops dealing with pedagogical and work-related topics, as well as workshops dealing with health and personal well-being. We have a nice lunch ready for you, and with desserts from Greg's to be offered at this afternoon's reception. The Professional Development Day Committee has received many donations for this event, for which we are very pleased, and we would like to especially thank Lessings for their food donations and the CCRI Foundation for the bottled water donation. Professional Development Day is a time for our faculty, staff, and administration to come together in dialogue and sharing in a positive community spirit to reward each of you for your daily contributions to the Community College of Rhode Island. Note that this afternoon, after lunch, we will have a motivating bestseller author to give a brief keynote address, followed by a Q&A opportunity with President Hughes. We will have a closing reception with desserts, well, I already mentioned that, from Greg's. So please enjoy the day, and thank you very much. At this time, it is my pleasure that we welcome from the Performing Arts Department, student Victoria Jessup, accompanied by faculty member Dr. Audrey Kaiser, performing a selection from Orfeo.
Senza
fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you, both Audrey and Victoria. For those of you who have, whether you're new to teaching or those such as myself who've been teaching 41 years, 31 years here, and 10 years as a high school teacher, you know that one of the best rewards is seeing the progress of your students, whether it's in the classroom currently or if you see it, soon after or much later, and that's one of the things that really, it's a real, again, from my perspective, one of the most positive pieces of during my career is the teaching aspect. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Christian Mora, who is an aspiring human development and family studies major who migrated here from a small town in Mexico at the age of 3 and was raised in Rhode Island for most of his life, graduating from Hope High School on the east side of Providence. He will now share a little bit more of his story with you. So please welcome Christian Mora.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not trying to butter you guys up, but this is a really good-looking crowd. I'd like to start off by sharing a little bit about who I am and why I'm in front of you today. Just a short time ago, I was bussing tables at a restaurant in downtown Providence. I guess you could say that this is where things really started to change for me. I've never been afraid of rolling up my sleeves for an honest day's work, but the reality of the matter was that, washing dishes and cleaning tables really just wasn't cutting it for me anymore. I wanted to be better. I wanted to better myself so badly, but just really didn't think I had it in me to do so. While I was working at the restaurant, I was introduced to a program called Rhode, a college concurrent and career development program whose participants graduate with 20 college credits. The program helped me learn about myself and reminded me that there's so much more out there if I would just step out of my comfort zone and reach for something greater. That the only limitations you really have are the ones that you put on yourself. With the help of CCRI and Europe's partnership, I was able to earn the first internship at Alex and Ani within their Charity by Design division, whose mission is to give back and create positive change within our communities. And I was really grateful to have been offered a full-time position the night before graduation and have been working there for a little bit over a year since. I once read a short quote saying that you hire character and train skill. And I think that holds a lot of truth, because I know a lot of people like myself who have the drive and the passion to succeed and really just needed an opportunity to demonstrate it. I would like to think that I've demonstrated that character, but I know now it's time to work on the skill end of things by continuing my journey of a higher education. Questions I ask myself daily: will it be easy? Definitely not. Will it happen overnight? Not likely. But will it be worth it? Absolutely. Without a doubt in my mind, it will be. On this journey, I quickly realized that I didn't really have a clue on how to get started. I began to think about people who I trusted and who could give me some advice and perhaps point me in the right direction. I couldn't help but think of Megan. I reached out to her, and I figured it was a long shot, as I could only imagine she would be juggling a million things now, so I wouldn't have taken it personally if I didn't hear back from her. But I guess it was my fault for forgetting that Megan was the exception and not the rule. Not only did she quickly get back to me and offer guidance, she also set up some time to hear me out and to make sure that I had the support that I needed. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you that I don't like admitting to what I think cheesy moments are. But in all honesty, I was really happy to see that email come through. There I was at my desk drinking probably what was my 100th coffee at the time, and after reading her response, I couldn't help but lean back in my chair and kind of look at the ceiling for a second. It was as if in those few seconds, the earth seemed to stop moving, and the moment just kind of hit me. Trust me, I know that we are all so busy with our day-to-day lives that it could be hard to try to fit something else in. But her willingness to make that time reminded me of exactly what makes Megan, Megan. Right away, she connected me with Rob Giovino, who I'm sure many of you know is the Associate Director of Admissions here at CCRI. I remember the first time meeting Rob. He jumped right into asking me what I saw myself doing, and he laid out all the different approaches on how to get there and how CCRI could help. Rob really went out of his way in helping me through the process of applying for both school and in-state tuition. Because up until recently, I would have had to pay out-of-state tuition because I wasn't born here, even though I've spent the majority of my life in the US. My family came here in the pursuit of a better life when I was 3, and they lived in Providence ever since. But somehow I was always still considered an outsider. So I'll tell you that when someone treats you well, it makes you really feel welcomed. It means so much to me, and I will forever be grateful for that. Oh, and by the way, that application was recently approved, and I am so happy to let you know that I'll be starting my classes here in May. I'm proud to say that I have earned 22 credits here, and those will apply to my degree. And to think that it came all together by writing to an email to someone who I didn't necessarily expect to get a response from. I have been incredibly fortunate to have crossed paths with some truly amazing people. I'd like to think that I kind of have a knack for being able to spot a genuine soul from a mile away. And with that being said, I honestly don't think that you come across people like Megan too often. And I'm not saying that because I'm up here or because she's right there or even because of this event, but because I truly believe in the example she has set and what she stands for. When I first heard about Megan becoming the president of CCRI, I really couldn't have imagined a better fit for the position. Because I've seen her on a regular day basis where it's just her and the students. And it's not hard to see that it's not her big title that defines her, but instead, her big heart. Her passion to empower others and her sincere care for all make her truly one of a kind. And I know you are all in the best hands possible. And I really look forward to being in a community that's led by her. Although Megan didn't show up today wearing a cape, please don't let that fool you, because she's truly an everyday hero nonetheless. So it is my greatest pleasure to introduce to you your president, Megan Hughes.
So when I was at Europe, I always made it a practice never to speak after a student, and I'm sure you can all see why. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Sherry and Audrey, for the wonderful music that welcomed us as we arrived this morning. I asked you to do that, and as you'll hear later today, music is really at the center of what gives me the greatest pleasure, so thank you. Thank you, Victoria and Audrey, for the beautiful song. And I also want to thank Deb Notoriani Gerard, Michelle O'Brien, and the Professional Development Day Planning Committee for working so hard to make today a success. I walked into the Great Hall at 7 or so, and it felt like just a big birthday party. All the balloons, it looked so welcoming, and I think Dave and I will work together to figure out how we make this campus just that welcoming every day. Thank you to Rich and Kristen and Dave and the entire marketing and communications team for your hard work getting ready for today. I can look right out and see Kristen, who in the 11th hour yesterday was helping me pull together the slides and the text, and then had to make it down to URI to teach a class. I'm delighted to hear you received no speeding infraction and that you made it to your students, and just thank you so much. Thank you to our IT and facilities departments for making today possible. I really do know how many hours go into pulling something like this off, and I'm so grateful. Thank you to all of the faculty and staff who have volunteered to lead sessions today. I am really looking forward to seeing as many of those sessions as I can get to. And finally, I just have to sort of say thank you to Deb Zielinski. I know everyone in this room knows Deb, and we have been working very, very closely together for 2 months, and I know that I would not be able to do what I'm doing without Deb standing beside me and pushing me when I need to be pushed and pulling me when I need to be pulled and making sure that I've got chocolate when I need it and managing my absolutely insane calendar. But mostly what I'm grateful for is I listen to her when our students come into the office looking for me. And no matter who the student is, I listen to how carefully she listens, how kind her response is, and how personally she takes it, making sure that student gets to the one of you she needs to get to in order to serve the student. So thank you, Deb, very much. So good morning to everyone, and welcome to our college's 14th Annual Professional Development Day. This day is designed with you in mind as a chance for us to come together, talk about where we were headed, and take part in workshops that will help us learn and grow. I really enjoyed seeing and speaking with so many of you during our breakfast this morning, and I look forward to continuing the conversation after lunch, when we will have a question and answer session following our keynote speaker, Kate Otto, and then a reception in the Great Hall. And I'm realizing there's the Q&A, which was deliberately placed after lunch so that we could have people come back. But I now realize it's the Gregs that's going to really drive who comes back after lunch, which is fine with me. I'm hoping there's death by chocolate. I will save up for that. I'd especially like to thank our students who are joining us here this morning, including members of student government, the Student Veterans Organization, and the student ambassadors. And I'd also like to thank the members of the President's Council who are with us today. I have many things to share with you all this morning, and I'd like to start by welcoming our union presidents to say a few words. Please welcome Leslie Florio, President, the Educational Support Professional Association.
Good morning. I just want to take this moment and say, Christian, your story was truly inspirational, and I think it reminds all of us why we're here and why we do what we do. So you're amazing. If I sound weird, somebody give me the hand sign. I'd like to start this morning by saying 7 years ago was literally the last time I spent an entire day in my office since I took on the endeavor of becoming the president of ESPA. That being said, I could not be any prouder to stand here before you and tell you about the members, who we are and what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's been an interesting couple of months, that's for sure. Over the last week, I began trying to decide what was the message that I wanted to convey to all of you today. How could I clearly articulate who we are and what we do as members of this community? Last night, as I was driving home from teaching class, in a moment of panic, I thought, I'm going to call up Crystal Bergantine, who is my grievance chair, and just kind of run through my speech and get some suggestions for her. And I said, Crystal, what are you doing? And she said, I'm in Twin Oaks, having appetizers and drinks with Scott. And I thought, must be nice to be grievance chair and not stressed out the night before. But in all seriousness, Crystal is amazing, and hands down, she's the hardest working grievance chair I've ever met. So Crystal, thank you. But throughout our conversation, we talked back and forth, and she said something to me that was truly inspirational and kind of changed my message to you today. She said, Leslie, get up there and tell them we're awesome, and make sure everybody in that room knows that ESPA is everywhere. And it was in that moment that I realized we are everywhere. There is not one corner of this building that ESPA is not involved in. We are truly a remarkable union. I thought, we are in IT. We're in every single academic department as your support staff. As many of the chairs would certainly verify, the departments solely depend on their support staff, except for Yvonne, of course, you're amazing. We are physical plant. We're making sure that the roads are safe and walkways are clear. We are making sure that the bathrooms are completely spotless. We're setting up and breaking down this event. Many of my members are not sitting here today because they're busy getting ready for lunch. So when I say we are everywhere, we are absolutely everywhere, and I am so proud to be standing here and representing all of my membership. On behalf of ESPA, I want to officially welcome Megan, who has been truly an advocate and a friend to ESPA. In my first few weeks as president, my union faced a serious issue, and I was here probably, I don't know, about 5:30 on a Tuesday night, and I was trying to figure out the best way that I could handle the upcoming problem, which I knew would be waiting for me in the morning. And on my way out, uninvited, I stopped into Megan's office and just wanted to have an informal conversation with her. I hadn't really met with her yet. And when I walked through the door, the response I got was, "Leslie, come on in." And she sat and she talked with me, and she took my problem, our problem, so seriously, and she sat and we talked through it for about 45 minutes, even though I knew that she was tired, she had been here all day, and that she needed to be at a work dinner in probably just about an hour. So, Megan, thank you. Thank you for the hard work that you do. It is clear to me that she has a vision and a passion for this institution, that she is going to lead us forward. I have the utmost faith in her ability and the way she sees that this college is going to move, and you have the support of me and my members, and we really look forward to working with you. The last thing I want to say is, as I look across at the other two union presidents, I ask that moving forward, we build stronger ties, we work together. The three of us, our members, represent CCRI as a whole, who we are. I ask that you take on the problems and the challenges that ESPA faces as your own, and in turn, we'll take on yours. Let's act as a unified voice collectively, and remember, we all face the same universal struggles and challenges as a union. And I thank you, and I welcome, and have an amazing day, and we'll be sharing the Death by Chocolate, Megan. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. So as I said to Leslie when she walked over, I looked across at Steve Murray and I'm like, oh, Leslie and Steve are sitting together. Then realized, yes, the twins, yes. So I'd like to please welcome Faculty Association President Sandra Sneesby. Sandra.
Good morning. Let's get my papers together here. So thank you, President Hughes, Vice Presidents, Deans, faculty, and staff. My name is Sandra Lutzi Sneesby, and I bring greetings on behalf of the Faculty Association. As the association's president, I am proud to stand here to speak as its representative as we gather with all of the CCRI community to invest our time and energy this day. I've always looked forward to Professional Development Day. It's a day when the college stops, when we come together to enjoy not only new lessons and training, but one another, meeting those we know well and making new acquaintances. We sit together in seminars, mixtures of faculty, staff, and administrators, where there are no ranks, no dividing lines, no separation. When I was asked to say a few words today, I wasn't sure what I would say exactly, but I knew what I would talk about. I would talk about our faculty. We are a diverse group, from professors just out of graduate school to octogenarians, from artists to scientists, from liberal arts to the healing arts. We are here at CCRI investing ourselves in others. Faculty was here at the Founders 50 years ago, and they remain as the principal asset to the project called the Community College of Rhode Island. Wherever I go, whomever I meet in my role as Faculty Association President, it is easy to talk about you, our faculty. I love to tell them about you, how talented you are, how hard you work, how challenging your job is, how accomplished you are, and how inspiring you are. Every college has professors, but the best professors are found in the halls of community colleges. Where else can you find professors with the heart and patience of social workers who hang in there when no one else will, who welcome everyone regardless of where they are in their life's journey? The rich, the poor, the widow, the retiree, the unsure and the determined, the eager and the reluctant, the advantaged and the disadvantaged. Coming to us when others have turned them away. We say each and every day, come. Our door is open. Come. All are welcome and all are wanted. And that is what makes a community college special. This is what makes our own community college so special. And this is, to me, a beautiful, beautiful thing. As faculty, we are front and center in students' journeys, and we walk with them, guiding them, struggling with them, cheering when they succeed, lifting them up when they fall. It is a privilege of a lifetime. Being a community college professor is special, and it takes a special kind of person to be one. I can speak for those who teach, but I think it is true of anyone who works here at the college, no matter your role, when I say that we dedicate ourselves to the love of knowledge and the growth of those who come to learn. When I walk through the doors and the halls, I see you, sharing the struggle alongside the student trying to find a bad value in a variable, watching the spark in a student's eyes when they discover the constellation in the night sky you told them about, locking glances with you as they imitate your words in another dialect and language, enjoying the soft melody from their instrument and the beautiful stroke of their brush, sharing the wonder of a first successful experiment and the first time a spreadsheet balances, watching with pride as they walk the hospital halls and use the skills of healing you have taught them, seeing perspectives shift when they are introduced to new ideas of what makes a family, sitting beside them on the floor as they demonstrate their learning of how to make muscles stronger, joining them alongside their first flossing of a patient's teeth, marveling as the shy student transforms into a performer on stage for the first time, teaching them the ways to keep their bosses on schedule and saving them from their own weaknesses, studying them as they draw their first vial of blood or dissect their first specimen, toiling with them to understand how sentences can be crafted to inspire, sharing their excitement when they locate the decades-old newspaper article or case they were searching for, setting an example for what charity and justice look like and seeing them embrace it, and keeping them focused so they can discover the tricks to solving equations, crying with them when they share their own disorder for the first time as they study ways to help others with mental illness, and watching an audience be drawn in by the media students created. As a faculty and as a college, we are at the start of a new era, new leaders, new energy, new ideas. As faculty, we are at a time of excitement. A contract at long last is within reach. Last week, our negotiating committee and executive committee both approved a new tentative agreement, which, if approved by the full faculty on Monday, will be our first real contract in 6 years. With that behind us, we can put our efforts toward the issues we've uncovered and bargain and work together with administration to solve them equitably. Our contract is a springboard that we can use to move forward instead of treading water. We have all witnessed the hard toll on the morale of faculty when going so long between contracts, and we can never let that happen again. There is much more work to do, but today we pause to spend time together, expand our knowledge and skills, and celebrate the irreplaceable contributions each person offers. Faculty stand ready to give our very best to make CCRI a place of promise for all who come here. Thank you, and enjoy your day.
Thank you, Sandy. And now let's welcome Bev Wiley, President of the Professional Staff Association.
Good morning, everyone, and I hope you weren't expecting Jeff Heiser. I am no Jeff Heiser. Thank you, President Hughes, and thank you to reaching out to the three of us in the early days of your administration, seeking our input and advice and listening to our concerns. You have made me feel like a part of your team, and with my work in athletics, teamwork is at the core of what we do. As we move forward here at CCRI, the need for teamwork is more important than ever, and improved teamwork will help our staff and students reach their goals. I strongly believe that this administration is dedicated to the goal of strengthening our team's performance by combining individual victories into big wins. Over the past few months, the Professional Staff Association Executive Committee has been working on a few initiatives that we will soon be sharing with our members. We are in the process of developing a fact sheet with key information about our contract and their benefits as members. In addition, we will be scheduling some in-service training sessions to help our area reps better understand systems within the college, such as upgrades and audits. This will enable area reps to better serve our members and thus strengthen our union as we move forward. Whenever I take on a new role, it's because my goal is to make a difference. I attempt to focus my energy on being a careful and empathetic listener, and when I am speaking, letting that person know that they are valued and appreciated. I'd like to share with you a passage from an article I read recently about labor unions, which I think speaks to our role as union leaders. Every day, we make a difference in looking after people in their ordinary lives, as well as a huge contribution to the wider community. Unions are not just about the workplace. They are also about society as a whole, life as a whole, and the right of the working class to have a voice in society as a whole. That is why unionism is so important. When people get together and unite to form something more powerful and meaningful than themselves, the possibilities are endless. Together is how mountains are moved. Together is how small people make a big difference. In closing, I say to all of you, never underestimate the power of purpose. Remember, we all make a difference in our students' lives. Thank you.
So before I begin my remarks, I'd like to take just 1 minute to introduce some members of my new team. Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Rosemary Costigan. Vice President for Business Affairs, David Patton. Vice President of Student Affairs, Sarah Enright. Before I announce the next one, I'll just say it was his birthday yesterday. I had a piece of the carrot cake, and I was told that the reason it was carrot cake is because he only eats things like granola. So Associate Vice President for Student Services, Ron Schertz, happy birthday. It actually was good. Associate Vice President, Center for Workforce and Community Education, Robin Smith. Dean Peter Woodbury, and I have to say, Peter, I gave the keynote at the Economic Outlook breakfast earlier this week, and at about 6:30 that morning, I realized I did not have everything I needed related to advanced manufacturing. And so I called Deb, Deb found Peter, and as I was driving to the hotel, where is Peter? Yeah, he sort of spoke into my left ear so that I could then take that and present it to the folks gathered. So thank you, Peter. Dean Ruth Sullivan and Interim Dean John Cole. So before I move into sharing what I've learned in my first 2 months with you all at the college, I actually want to start, are there any art historians in the room? This just occurred to me. There you are, Sean Kelly. So I literally am just realizing this right now in this very moment. I'm starting with an art history lecture, for real, though it's a very personal one. I'm going to open up with 3 photographs that are very meaningful to me, tell you about those photographs, and from that point move into where I see this college today and where I'd like to see us go tomorrow. The first photograph that you're looking of is of my Nana, the teacher, standing in the corner, and all of her students in the one-room schoolhouse that she taught in the early 1900s. I was raised by 3 parents, my parents and that woman. She represents, I think, what must still be true in this country and what Christian story tells us is true. She was one of 11 children born to Irish immigrants. Her father was a miner in the mines west of Pittsburgh. Her brothers all went into the mine early. And I remember from the time I was a very small girl listening to my Nana tell stories of what that life was like, and listening to what drove her to do what it took as an Irish Catholic to get an education and to get out of that town and out of that mining life. And the first way she did it was by becoming a teacher. So I was taught to read by 2 people, my mother and my Nana. I have that picture in my office at this college. It's the first thing I brought when I carried in with me. I wake up every morning and I think about that woman, because what she did with those students and what she went on to do 20 years later as a nurse is what I hope I am continuing to do as part of my mission, which is to serve the people who most need serving. So that is my maternal grandmother and grandfather on their wedding day. It's probably 1932-ish. And I chose this photograph for a reason, and that is this. My grandfather was a child of the Depression and left middle school in order to go to work with his father to support his family. He completed his high school diploma at night and never set foot as an actual student in a college. I was struck very much on Friday night by Rosemary's comments that it was it your mother or your grandmother? Your mother, yeah. Your mother's vision of what it would be to be a nurse, and how impactful it is that though she never was one, she somehow managed to give you this belief that it's what you were born to do. I share that when thinking about my own grandfather. He didn't go to college. He had many grandchildren, and he was very, very proud of the fact that he was able to send his 3 children to college. And it is my grandfather who made it possible for me to go to Yale. That would not have been possible for my family. And he wrote those checks. He was a very practical man, and I respect so much the way he did that. The way he did it was a little bit unusual. I would get a check from him in the mail every month, and I would then have to take that check with a coupon. Is the bursar's office here? I was a regular at my college bursar's office. I would have to go and take that check every day, every month, to the bursar's office. And I think his reasoning is very clear. This education is a privilege. I am paying for this education. You need to make the best of it. And I took that obligation very, very seriously as a public school kid who arrived not at all sure that I would be able to persist there. He came to Yale once to visit me, and again, I will look at Sean. I took him to a Greek art and archaeology lecture. So this is a man who worked as a mechanic and as a train conductor. I can say with certitude he had never been into an art museum, and he had certainly never been at an art history lecture. So I sat with my peers, he sat with my mother, the lights went down. 50 minutes later, we walked out, and I said, Opa, what do you think? And he said, a lot of cracked pots, and that was pretty much it. Yeah. So Edna can tell me, is the next photo up? I know that I'm one of the latest to leave the building. I believe Edna is one of the first to reach the building. So in my first week, Edna came in and we had a fantastic conversation about her life and what she has given to this college. And we talked about this photo, which also came in with me on day one. You may not be able to see the text, but loosely, it says something like, to Jim Hughes, with deepest gratitude, Ethel Kennedy, Christmas 1968. That is a copy of a photograph. My mother has the original. It's a copy of a photograph that was given to my father in 1968, and I was 2 years old in 1968. Some of you weren't born in 1968, some of you were. What 1968 looked like in my family was this. My mother was pregnant with my brother. I was probably just learning to walk, and my parents really believed in social justice and in the civil rights movement, and they were campaigning for Bobby. They wanted that man to be president. And as you all know, Martin Luther King was killed earlier that year. And they were there. My parents were there in the campaign office. Bobby was in Indiana campaigning that day. And some of you will remember the speech that he gave. He went into a predominantly African-American neighborhood in Indianapolis. People were angry, and he was cautioned not to go. He was told it was a safety risk, and he walked out in front of an angry crowd, and he brought peace. I was raised at a dinner table. My father was a trial lawyer. I'll move for a moment and tell you this story. At my oldest son's 5th grade teacher conference, the teacher said something like, Walker's a great kid. He needs to learn to let his classmates and me kind of finish our sentences. And then she looked at me and she said, do you guys have the kind of dinner table where people are constantly interrupting each other and arguing various points of view? My husband was on the phone and wisely kept his mouth very shut. And I just sort of nodded. The reason I bring it up is that was absolutely the dinner table I grew up in, where you had a point of view and you needed to vigorously explore that point of view and defend it. So some of you have those dinner tables. So the dinner table that I grew up at was one that took the example of my Nana and the example of my grandparents very, very seriously. And we were raised with a sense of our privilege, and we were raised with a sense that we absolutely had an obligation to bring what we had been given to a broader community to truly create more equity in this country. And I didn't show you a picture of my father today, but I will say this about him. He was a man of his generation. He died 15 years ago, worst day of my life, and rarely cried, One of the only times in my life I ever saw my father cry was when he talked about Bobby Kennedy and the president that he could have been. So my father can't be with us today. I put that picture up to say I look very closely at the examples that my parents and my grandparents set, and I intend to honor them and the example that they have set in the work I do with this college. So thank you actually for walking through a bit of a very personal art history lecture, and I'm now going to turn to my prepared remarks. So I want to start this morning by sharing a conversation I'm having lots of days, and that is, what will the college's position be with respect to the liberal arts and to workforce development? Like so many of you, I benefited from a liberal arts education. I earned my bachelor's degree in history and a doctorate in art history. I know what it gave me. Strong communication and analytic skills, the ability to think critically, and like Bev said, the ability to work on a team. As a really shy kid, books were my first friend, and they remain essential to me. Music has been with me on my happiest days and in my moments of deepest sorrow. Deb can tell you that not a day goes by without either Chopin or, if it's at the end of the day, Bruce Springsteen playing quietly while I am at my desk. And it's funny, think about the students that are here. Do you guys know Bruce Springsteen? You do? Okay. Right? Okay. Literature, music, history, psychology, all of these disciplines have helped shape how I look at the world and how I live my life. I believe that all college students in Rhode Island must have access to the liberal arts, and I will support passionately the stability of the liberal arts at CCRI. I spoke 2 days ago at the Economic Outlook Breakfast in front of the mayor of Providence, our governor, and other business leaders, and I delivered that message clearly. I also believe that the single best workforce development training is a college degree. We know, yes, and that's why Christian's coming back. We know that the best chance that first-generation college students have to rise from poverty and into the middle class is a college degree. I also delivered that message. If you take a look at the numbers on the screen, you will see the lifetime earnings differential for those with a high school diploma, an associate degree, and a bachelor's degree. I believe the best workforce development we can offer at CCRI is driving the successful completion of an associate degree and setting students on the pathway to obtain a bachelor's degree. That is why my #1 priority is increasing the graduation rate. My motivation to do that is the same as what drives every decision I make: what serves our students. When it comes to workforce development, I am interested in advancing conversations with employer partners who want to invest in our students. So every meeting I take, every phone call I take, I look at my watch and I see how long it takes the person to say something meaningful about what's good for our students. And those are the meetings I prioritize. Those are the meetings that we will be putting our time and our resources behind. So I'm looking for employer partners who want to grow our graduates so that their socioeconomic opportunity increases. I am looking to partner with companies who offer tuition remission and flexible schedules. We know that's what our students need in order to persist here, in order to graduate, and in order to transfer. Companies who understand that working students with families need an employer committed to their success. That's the kind of workforce development that I'm interested in. In this scenario, everyone wins. Our graduates get increasing opportunity to grow and develop and contribute with no ceiling in sight. So now I want to share something I've heard in the last couple of months, and maybe you have too. And it goes like this: college isn't for everyone. So here's my response. On what basis does anyone decide that college isn't for everyone? I've spent a lot of time talking to students on the west side and south side of Providence, in Central Falls, and in Woonsocket. I haven't found a single one who says, nope, college isn't for me. So while there may be people who decide that a degree isn't for them, not right now, maybe never, income data tells us that it is generally better with a degree. So let's be really clear. How do we create socioeconomic opportunity for our students? In 2 ways. We must support them through graduation, and we must encourage and assist them in transferring into a 4-year degree program. So what are we talking about? Yes. So what are we talking about? PCT, persistence, completion, and transfer. One way we can increase our completion rate, as all of you know, is focusing on persistence. We know we serve first-generation students, just like Christian, and those who are traditionally underserved. The data shows that if we can get our students to persist through that first year, then their completion rate improves dramatically. So we will focus on getting our students through that critical first year by trying some new initiatives. One is using multiple measures for placement as a way of addressing remediation. For years, AccuPlacer testing, remember that, Christian? Yeah, has guided course placements in key areas. But there is a growing body of evidence that demonstrates that high school coursework and GPA are better predictors of success in college-level coursework. So starting this fall, we will embark on a pilot that considers all of these factors to determine placement. We also know that students who are placed in credit-bearing gateway courses have higher degree completion and transfer rates than those placed in developmental courses. Using multiple measures will mean that students are placed appropriately, will spend less time in developmental coursework, and will complete their degrees or certificates more quickly. We are also going to expand what is already working. The ALP program, Accelerated Learning Program, has been piloted successfully in the English department. ALP enables students to take developmental and credit-bearing courses concurrently. The results from this program show that these students successfully complete these classes, meaning they are immediately on the path to completion. Soon, we will expand this program into other English courses and introduce it in the math department. And I really have to pause here and say, two of the foundations of getting an associate degree are those two departments. And I have watched the math department. I see our chair standing in the shadows there, and I've seen our English department just work, like pushing through concrete to figure out how we do this. Thank you. You're teaching us how to do it. You're setting an incredible example of what's possible. If you just say, you know what, it's going to be messy, it's going to take some time, we don't have all the answers yet, but we're committed to doing it. It's incredibly inspiring to me, and I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. So we're going to take some small programs like this, pilot them, figure out which ones work, and then continue to grow them. And I have to say, I'm struck by conversations I've had with so many of you in the early days. So much good work has been going on here for a very long time. I think one of the ways I will measure my own success is whether I'm listening and able to take what you're already doing, connect it, scale it, and just make sure it goes across all 4 campuses, everyone knows it, and we begin to all together practice that way. So thank you for all of you who are teaching me in these early days. So the third area of focus is transfer, and specifically transferring with an associate degree. And here's why it matters to earn that degree prior to transfer. First, when our students complete a degree with us, they gain an incredibly important sense of achievement. Right? You heard Christian earlier today basically say he didn't have a sense that he could do much more of anything. And it took a bunch of people just like you stepping in and saying, you're smart, you've got potential, we're going to provide you with the tools, now go do your job. I think that was pretty much the message you got. Yeah. So our students, when they complete, they get that sense of achievement, of validation that they can succeed in college, that they are college material, that they can succeed, and in fact, that they have done so. They've gotten a degree that proves it. That self-confidence, that belief that they can, will serve them well as they enter a 4-year institution. When they face that daunting paper or exam or course, they can draw on that sense of achievement and push through successfully. Second, and this is all of you, our students do better transferring with a degree because they gain all the advantages of being taught by our faculty, by all of you who are focused on excellent teaching and who are passionately committed to their success. You know, I heard what Sandy said in her remarks, and it's just right. I've been at all sorts of higher ed institutions, and what I see here is that what you bring to this college every day is just that relentless commitment to, I know what it's going to take to support these students, and I'm in for the long haul, so thank you. Having that time with all of you strengthens their capacity to persist at a 4-year institution with your coaching and your support beneath them. And finally, it matters to complete the degree prior to transfer because it is generally a more cost-effective decision. That means our graduates will assume less debt from student loans by completing with us than they would by transferring without a degree. Finally, getting the associate degree is better from an immediate financial earnings perspective. Many of our students will need to continue to work, just like Christian, to support themselves and their families while they pursue a bachelor's degree. They can get a higher paying job with an associate degree than with simply a high school diploma. So for all of these reasons, we are focused on ensuring our students graduate with our degree prior to transfer. So I'm just going to finish with a few concluding remarks about what I've seen in my early days. Here's what I've seen. A group of people deeply committed to our students and to our mission. I've seen faculty members go the extra mile every day, investing themselves in our students' success. I headed to the art opening last night and walked on the stairs with a student named AT. And I said, what are you taking? How's it going? And he said, I'm going to an accounting class. And I said, I didn't think, is there an accounting class now? And he said, no, I'm showing up an hour early because my professor is spending some time doing some one-on-one work. I hear that. I can't go into the hallway without hearing stories like that. So thank you. I have seen the Performing Arts Department support their students through a flood that threatened to derail their spring production and made sure that the show went on. I have watched the business faculty create an entire day devoted to their students' professional development. And I have listened just this week to liberal arts faculty passionately communicate the importance of their field to introducing students to a bigger world than they currently inhabit. I have watched student services staff work tirelessly to ensure our students get the support they need to succeed here. I'm on the receiving end of a lot of those emails where students just write president@ccri.edu and they need some help. And no matter when I get the email and when I forward it to what I hope is the right person in student services, the response comes right back to the student. I'm here, we know your college material, how soon can I get you in for a meeting? So thank you to the student services team. So, in my first months, I've talked with dozens of students who have shared why they're here, the powerful support they've received from their professors, advisors, and counselors. Last week, I met with Jess Mary Parra Gonzalez. She's a business administration major, and I want to share with you what she said about her experience with two of her professors. And for all of you in the room, I could have filled my remarks with comments like these. About Associate Professor Joanne Orabone, she said, the authenticity of her teaching is clearly visible. She shows patience for her students. Her method of teaching is extremely thorough and cares about our opinions while making sure we understand the material given. Overall, Professor Orabone is over the top, extremely talented, wildly intelligent, and most important, passionate about her job. So Joanne, are you here? And Jess Mary said this about her English professor, Lori Sherman. I love actually the opening line. It's always what my students said about art history, which was like, I expected it to be boring, but it was okay. She said, kind of like my grandfather. She says about Lori, I didn't expect to have the experience I had in a communications class. The energy Professor Sherman brought to the table was immense. As soon as she'd enter the class, it was an automatic attention getter. The way she spoke, expressed her teachings, and gave examples were extraordinary and so easy to catch on what she meant. Amazing teacher, great class. And finally, I met with this student this week at Community Service Day, Michael Chapasco. Michael is a fine arts major, and he is an Army vet who has nerve damage as a result of his service. Here is what he said about art professor Nancy Wiley. She has been my biggest influence since I began attending classes at the college. Ever since I took digital art with her, I try to take as many of her classes as I can. When it came to my disability, I was concerned about how I was going to get my artwork done because of my shaking. but she has gone above and beyond her job as a professor and been more like a family member to me. Her encouragement has given me pride in myself again and pride in my work, and it means so much to me. I look forward to her classes every day. So a big part of my job will be to ensure that everyone in Rhode Island understands the vital importance of our college's mission and our unwavering commitment to our students. That everyone recognizes the exceptional work of our faculty, our staff, and our students, and is inspired to partner with us to enable our students' success. That everyone recognizes we are committed to our students and our mission and to excellence, and we intend to be a force to be reckoned with. I have said many times that I want CCRI to be the best community college in New England by 2020, and we will get there through the good work of everyone in this room. I have so much respect and value for what you do every day, and I am so grateful. That's one reason why this day is so important. It gives me a chance to say thank you. It gives us a chance to say thank you to each other, and it gives us a chance to reflect and to learn. As you get ready to head out to your workshops, I will see you back in this theater after lunch, before Greg's, to hear from our keynote speaker, Kate Otto. Thank you so much.